These can't have that much caffeine.
They don't have that much. And these contain 9% juice. So that's cool. It's got kudzu in it.
Wow.
Hi, and welcome back to Truth, Health, and Wellness with Matt and Deborah St. John. We are glad you guys joined us back here this week. Matt and Deborah, I know it's been a little crazy out there probably, and lots going on. We had a really great conversation last week about water, and continuing with that, can we jump right in and talk about another product I ventured in? I went in their store right around the holidays, and they had this thing called, I think it was Olipop.
Olipop.
Okay, tell us and the viewers all about that, because this stuff was amazing.
We're having this conversation about this. Is actually an empty can because we drank it. And this is the grape flavor, which is our personal favorite.
That's the kind I had, and it was delicious. I was blown away. So.
These are so cool. Can you say Grapico without, cancer? It's really amazing. And they call it a new kind of soda. And they use prebiotics, they use plant fibers, they use botanicals. This particular one has nopal, it has marshmallow root, calendula, kudzu root. Did you know kudzu was good for something? It is.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah, Concord grape juice, which you'd expect that to be in there. No, it's all natural. And they do a really good job with these because they actually have prebiotics and probiotics, so they're good for you. So you finish drinking them and you don't feel cruddy like you do a lot of times with a lot of soft drinks. So we love these. There's several flavors. There's the classic grape. There's a colas. There's which we don't even carry the cola because it's not that great. There's a cherry cola that is great. There's root beers and cream sodas.
A Dr.
Yeah.
Goodwin, they call it, I think.
Dr. Goodwin. Yeah, but those are really great, and we like to give people some options. We like to have options ourselves for some things to enjoy and not necessarily have to suffer too much with just drinking only bottled water, or I shouldn't say bottled water from our bottles that I showed the other day. But it really does. It makes a difference to have a little something sweet. And matter of fact, what's wild with this one, the total calories per can is only 45. There's 15 grams of total carbs. 9 grams of that is dietary fiber. So they use prebiotics to give it a sort of a taste. And it's really
it uses stevia as the sweetener, which is pretty safe seemingly these days.
It is. I think I told the story of the Reed's ginger brews that were using the erythritol, and erythritol had several back-to-back studies that showed that it was horrible for the cardiovascular system. So, and we were dealing with problems that we couldn't figure out, and it was because we were drinking about 3 of those a day. So we backed off of those and got on, basically just drank water in those.
Yeah.
That's about it. But they're handy to have.
Well, and those, I just think, especially with everyone who goes to doctors now, if they end up on an antibiotic or something, and that replenishes what they've lost in their body, correct?
Yeah, the probiotics replace the friendly bacteria that you've lost because of antibiotics or just because of stress, just having anxiety. Think about this. When you have, let's say you go to use your debit card or something and it doesn't work, and it literally says declined, how do you feel?
Oh, miserable, like what? You expected something to be there that wasn't.
Right, and so you're flipping out because it could be a number of problems. No, most likely it's just some simple little thing, but you feel your gut sink. You know that feeling?
Yeah.
That sinking. They call it a sinking feeling for a reason. That sinking feeling is your body flushing probiotics,
Like killing them dead.
killing them dead. Graveyard dead, as Tommy Bass would say. Your body, under stress, will purge probiotics. You have to replace them. Well, probiotics are the friendly bacteria in themselves. Prebiotics are what feeds, are natural foods and natural plants and various sources that feed the probiotics. So they actually feed the probiotics that are in our guts. When we're born sterile. We have no probiotics. The only way we get our probiotics is from mother's milk, which, then there's a lot of people that don't nurse, and it's from hugs and kisses, from affection, touching, slobbering on those little babies, kissing them, and that does make a difference. And that's the reason they can actually tell that physiologically, children who come from more loving homes are much healthier than children who aren't.
Oh,
And
wow.
especially if your mom lived you enough to nurse. My mom is going to hate this episode because this is one. But but in 1975, they were telling women, by the way, formula is safer and better than breast milk. And you don't have to worry about those youngins. Just give them the formula. So that's what happened. And so there were multiple problems that I had as I aged into my teen years that I wouldn't have had I simply just nursed. And now what's interesting today, when I'm taking my supplements, I always take a probiotic. If we get to Peru and we've left all of our supplements at home, the one supplement that I'll make sure to get first will be a probiotic. It's just that vital, that important. So we use probiotics extensively, and I need them because if I don't have probiotics, I basically feel like I don't have an immune system. That's just me personally because of my past history. So everyone's a little different, but I don't know. I've never met a person that doesn't need probiotics, whether it be a child, adult, or anything else.
A lot of probiotics come from dirt, soil, and so kids that play in the dirt and are barefoot and get dirty sometimes usually have a better immune system than those that don't.
That's true. That's there's a lot to be said. What's the name of the medication that everyone was
Ivermectin.
Ivermectin. There we go. All right. So everyone's heard of ivermectin. You've either heard of it and roll your eyes, or you've heard of it and think it's the greatest thing that's ever been made. But ivermectin is a dirt probiotic. That's all it is. Some Japanese research scientist was digging in the dirt, discovered ivermectin, and then they basically made it an antiparasitic drug. And so it's an antiparasitic, but it's also a dirt probiotic. And there are a lot of dirt probiotics. There's a company called Primal Defense. Actually, the company's called Garden of Life, but they make a product called Primal Defense. And you should have heard in the industry when it was discovered that they used camel dung in their product.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, it's a probiotic. So you might want to research where your probiotics come from. Another neat story is Wakanaga, which I just learned how to pronounce properly. Yeah, it's not Wakanga.
Yeah, Wakanaga.
Wakanaga, that sounds a lot worse than Wakanga. But anyway, it's a company in Japan I used to say 50 years ago, but now it's been now I should say 70 years ago. There was an individual who was undergoing a surgery as an infant. And so when they were doing the surgery, they obtained a culture from his intestine. And this culture has been being grown in a lab for the past 70 years.
Ever since.
Ever since. And it's a human strain probiotic. So people will literally go to the supplement counter or the supplement section. They'll pull a bottle and they'll read, a live human probiotic, human strain probiotic. That sounds great, whatever. They don't think, well, there's a little bit of a Japanese guy in there, which is great. I think it's fine. But can you imagine being that dude, how cool that would be to go into every health food store anywhere in the world and basically say, hey, there's a little bit of me in that bottle.
Does he get residuals on it?
I don't think so. So that poor Japanese guy. But no, it's really neat though because human strain probiotics are probably 10-fold more effective than milk-derived or vegetable-derived probiotics.
Well, think about it. It's from a human being. Your body loves human things. It doesn't really want, milk after you've been weaned.
It's a little peculiar, and the conversation is a little. But I love that realm. I love to learn about the truth because a lot of these companies don't really want to tell the truth. On the other hand, I'm like, heck yeah, our Artemisia is comes from this source, and I love to live in the and exist in the real and so it's really neat though to learn about probiotics and how beneficial for a lot of people. They'll never get sick if they're on a probiotic.
Oh, wow.
A virus might hit them, they'll just bounce right out of it. That's for a lot of people, and so there's definitely an impact. Not only when you think of probiotics, you think about your digestion, you think about your gut health, and you think about how you digest food, break down food. But probiotics, not only do they help with breaking down the food, but they also help with your immune system, and they build B vitamins. And B vitamins are one of the most important things for stress. So it's interesting that we were talking about probiotics. The whole debit card thing, and
Right.
it's decline, and my sinking gut. You just flushed your probiotics. You also lost your B vitamins, and so now supplementation of B vitamins will make an immediate effect on that person.
Wow.
So just taking like a B complex, like what they call a stress B complex. They call it stress B complex for a reason. It's because you need it when you're under stress. It's just a neat to learn about our microbiome and how the human body can really use plants and animals and even other human constituents to be able to heal itself and work well.
Well, I'm glad you said that about the stress, because I've seen that out there, but it never clicked in my mind, the B stress
Stress
complex.
B complex is for a reason. Yeah, I had a fella who this is a terrible story. How can I condense this? There's a fella who had just discovered that his wife liked his friend more than she should, and that they had a relationship ongoing for a long time. And literally the guy comes in as a delivery person, and he's on a tirade, and he basically tells us right then and there that he's going to go kill this person and her too. And I'm like, whoa, that's, first off, you don't need to be telling us if you're going to do that, and secondly, you don't need to do that. And so I worked with this elderly naturopath named Jean Robertson, and so she said, don't you have some stress B complex? And I said, of course I do. I keep it in my bag. So I reached in my bag and gave him a handful, I'd say about 12 capsules of the stress B complex. This guy takes a bottle of water, actually it was a soft drink, and takes his 12 capsules, throws them in his mouth.
All at one time.
All at one time. And B vitamins stink, y'all. And so he drinks them all down right then and there. So 3 hours later, we get a phone call. He said, I figured out, he said, instead of doing what I planned to do, I went to the attorney's office. And he had papers drawn up. He said, that stuff calmed me down so much.
Wow.
And made me think so rationally that it was incredible. And that was literally, he went to the attorney instead of going to,
Yeah.
I guess, go to prison for the rest of his life. So that was a good thing.
And that it took that quick of an effect too.
Oh yeah, well,
So-
it was 12 capsules also,
Yeah.
but B vitamins are water soluble. So they work fast, but they also only do what they're going to do fast. So a lot of people get surprised when they take B vitamins and they notice that their urine is discolored. They'll have very yellow or almost orange urine sometimes, and they'll be like, whoa. But that's because of the B vitamin being so water soluble that it passes through your body that fast. And we really need our B vitamins. Everybody thinks about B12. They're like, oh, well, you need a B12 shot. Well, B12 shots only last 7 days. So if they're only giving you a shot once a month, then you're getting B12. You're feeling like Superman or Superwoman for 7 days, and the rest of the month you're feeling terrible. So you need to figure out a way to supplement B12. But the other problem with B12 is that when you're taking it in a capsule form, a lot of times it's not well absorbed, even with the other B vitamins. So you need a methyl B12. So they call it a methylated B12, and it's normally sublingual, and you can take it separately a lot of times if you're someone who's literally been prescribed B12 because of low energy or thyroid or something like that. A lot of people are dealing with low energy because of a lack of B12, so that's kind of a common issue.
Well, I'll tell you another one. I had an issue with a nail that was turning yellow, and the doctors tested it for fun. They're like, it's not. They could not figure out what it was. Regular doctors, and we were going to do laser on it just to make it. And then I watched for a YouTube video of an old Dr. Phil episode of all things, and someone was talking about B vitamins. Started taking them, cleared completely.
Clear
up.
cut. Wow, that's awesome. I had what's called COVID nails. You ever hear about COVID nails? I have strange fingernails anyway. I have basically club fingers, so the nail goes all the way from one end to the other. And no, I don't have pulmonary issues. It's a long story. But with my nails, they were brittle. I mean, this thumbnail, I'm wondering if I'm trying to use it as a regular screwdriver sometimes just to make it so long and strong. But it was brittle, and for 3 years after I had the first time that I'd had COVID,
It was like splitting right down
I was
the middle.
I would have split
ow.
nails. Yeah, for 3 years, and just now in the past maybe 4 months has it completely. Just,
What is
healed
there
itself.
anything that, like B vitamins and such, that
I think
helps repair that quicker,
I think so. I think with us it was collagen.
Okay.
When you get your collagen levels where they need to be, it'll help a lot with your hair, skin, and nails. And anything that I can take to help my hair, skin, and nails, I'm going to at this point because I'm 48.
Yeah.
Trying to keep as much hair as I can keep. that sort of thing. But yeah, it was. I mean, it's amazing how much stronger my nails are. But once again, it literally took 2.5 years.
Wow.
Of almost 3 years before they were better.
Wow. Well, let's see if we've got some other questions here. Yeah, you're going to love this one, I hope. My teen is very moody. Do you have anything safe for a moody teenager?
Safe
Do
for
you have
or
to
for
actually give
them?
it to them, or are you sneaking it to them, would be my question.
That's actually a good question. And we have had that happen before where people are like, hey, will you, because we do manufacturing and private labeling, they're like, hey, will you make my husband a multivitamin, but really make it a fertility formula? I'm like, no, I won't do that. Not unless you have your husband call me and tell me that he
Right,
knows
right.
what I'm doing. But no, there's teenagers are, wow. I mean, raising a teen, I mean, I know we have a 16-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 13-year-old ourselves, and they're all girls. So we get it. It's not easy. What was the question? Their behavior?
Moody teenagers.
Moody. Oh, they're moody. Well, that's, it's funny. I always heard people say, woe be unto you when your kids hit 16 or when they hit a certain age. Our daughters are wonderful. But it's interesting because there's a lot of truth in that around that age of 16, the world is, of course, now with the phones and the way that everything is, the world's at their fingertips, and there's so much out there that's trying to destroy our kids that you feel like you're in just this battle. And then, of course, if you say the wrong thing or push one direction too hard, we've learned, like when we take our kids out and we go to the, so we're in unclaimed baggage or something, we're looking at clothing. If we act like we are interested in anything for them, they will not want
hate
it.
it.
Yeah. So we have to use psychology. I'll be like, hey, Amelia,
It's
hey, will
okay.
you show this to Brittany, and use a little bit of psychology, and it'll work out. But it's with kids now. I won't say I feel sorry, but I'm talking about myself. I feel sorry for people who are raising children in this world in a way, but then again, I don't, because we have a gift. These children are a gift, and we've been blessed with this gift for a season. They're only kids for so long. They're always going to be our kids, and they're always going to need us. But at the same time, there's a certain period of time where raising them is obviously the most important thing, and raising them right. And I think the problem is that people look too much in the past, and people aren't paying enough attention in the present. And they're looking at the mistakes of the past. The enemy's trying to get them to just harp on the things that they failed at with their kids and everything else, when they really just need to step back and say, okay, I can't change the past, but I can definitely change the future.
Right.
And I can do that by paying more attention to my kids, listening to my kids more. I'll tell you a story. We're over at the IHOP in Oxford, me and Jonathan Tompkins. How you doing these days? And we were having a business meeting of some kind, and I watched a lady. There was a child, and he had drawn a picture on the coloring pages that they have at IHOP, and he kept trying to, Mom, look at my picture. And the mom looks over and says, shut up. And a little bit later, Mom, look at my picture. Shut up. And a little bit later, Mom, look at my picture. Finally, it was like, if you don't shut up, I'm going to get the switch out. And I literally looked at him and I said, where do you think she's keeping her switch? We're at the IHOP. I'm not real happy because she's just ignoring the kid. He's like, there's no telling. That kid truly said something else, and she, out of her purse, I don't even know, pulls out a stick
What?
this long at the IHOP, a stick, and just starts whacking the kid right there in the restaurant. And I thought, lady, if you had just listened to that child trying to show you their artwork and had given a flip about that kid for a split second, just giving them a second of your focus, you would not have had to have made yourself out to be an abusive fool in the middle of a restaurant in Oxford. It was crazy, just whipping the kid. We were pretty appalled. There's kids I believe that might need a switch. I've met plenty of them, but this kid didn't. And that's the problem, I think, so many times, is that we just aren't giving our kids enough of the right attention. And as far as nutrition, that's what people are wanting to hear from me. B vitamins are great for kids. Probiotics are great for kids. But there are people who are effectively using a lot of botanicals, omega-3s, they're even using CBD and different things with their kids to keep their kids focused, to keep their kids calm, to keep their kids less obnoxious, and to help their kids cope with the stresses that their kids are going through. We just grabbed a bag full of supplements that we're bringing to our daughters, some B12 and some things. One of them just started running, doing track and field and that sort of thing, and she's going to need a little bit extra protein. But we need to be active participants in our kids' diets and our kids' lives. And once again, the more we ignore, the less we have to react to the stresses later. In other words, we don't have to pull the switch out at the IHOP if we'll just give our kids the time and focus that we need to now, and to just address their health issues. And another thing, far more serious than that, is things like our water bottles that we were discussing. Filtering your water, making sure your kids are not using Stanley water bottles that are trendy and stupid, that they're actually using like Lark and Grail water bottles that filter out the plastics and the things that are making them sick. Because I really don't think that, we're to an age now where my generation is dying faster than the boomers. Our generation, the Gen X. I think you might be a millennial, but anyway, y'all are both millennials. But those people are dying faster, us, than the boomers are, of cardiovascular disease and things.
Wow.
But the problem, what really concerns me, is a decade from now, it's going to be children. There are going to be people who are Gen Xers and millennials and even Gen Zers who are going to be burying their children because they're not paying attention.
Wow.
Because their kids are so sick and their kids are dying. And it's not just one thing. It's a myriad of attacks that we're getting. And I'm not being a conspiracy theorist, but there are attacks happening to different populations. There's a desire for there to be population control. We've heard it out of the mouths of people who are billionaires. So there's this desire to control the population. Well, obviously, that they want everybody in their place. And so our children are being attacked, and their health is being attacked. And only the strongest are going to survive, but only the strongest are going to be the people who think out of the box, who use preventative care and not our traditional health care, and who really make a special effort to care about their kids above and beyond what the norm is, because the norm is horrible.
True.
Well, with that, is there a better, more, I don't want to say multivitamin, but in a sense, that is a better brand or something for your kids and or your adults that you would recommend versus one or the other?
Flintstone vitamins, for example. You think Flintstones, oh, that sounds
they taste great.
Yeah, but that's it. They literally are full of synthetics. They're full of food coloring. Matter of fact, like Red 40. I can't even believe, I think I saw somebody the other day take a Tums. They took a Tums that was a chewable Tums that had Red 40 in it. I'm thinking Red 40 to begin with causes gastrointestinal problems.
Seriously.
And so you're taking something to help your stomach that has Red 40 in it, which is long term invasive to your health. So there are many vitamins. There are brands. There aren't. I say there are many. There are a few family-owned companies now, and that's what we specialize in at St. John's. First off, we do our own manufacturing, private labeling.
Okay.
We manufacture our own line, and we have a multivitamin that's great for kids. We have a couple bottles for our daughters right now in the van. But also companies like Now Foods. Blue Bonnet Nutrition. We just got a new account with Blue Bonnet, who is a really good company that's still family owned. But it's difficult in this arena. We talked about the history of natural medicine. We talked about how in the 80s and the 90s they were like, oh, well, natural medicine is a farce. Of course, they've been doing that actually for hundreds and hundreds of years. But in the 80s and 90s, they were really attacking natural medicine, and the FDA was doing a lot. Well, all of a sudden, the German E-Commission came out with 930 monographs about these incredible botanicals and how effective they were, like clinical studies, in other words. So all of a sudden, 930 clinical studies come out of Germany, and we don't really doubt the Germans' intelligence in our medical field. And that threw the pharmaceutical companies and big pharma into chaos, because of what do we do now? We've been saying that this stuff doesn't work. Now there's proof and clinical evidence that it does work. What do we do now? Well, if you can't beat them, buy them. So, for example, Pfizer, the drug company, they own a company called Capsugel. Okay. We have to pay, is it 50% more, or almost 50% more for our capsules for our company to not have to buy from Capsugel, whereas the vast majority of the entire supplement industry, every Nature Made, every GNC, every single capsule you'll find, a gelatin capsule that you'll find at these shelves of the Walmarts, the dollar stores, are made by Capsugel, which is owned by Pfizer.
Oh my goodness.
And you could take there's a chart, it's really interesting. It shows about like 50 different supplement companies. And then inside, a little closer, you show about 14 companies. And those 14 companies own every one of those supplement companies. And here's the scary thing. When you look at who owns those 14 supplement companies, you find out that it's every single company, whether it be PepsiCo, whether it be Pfizer, whether it be
Clorox.
Clorox. You're buying your vitamins from Clorox.
Wow.
Think about that. But of all of those companies, every single one of those companies' principal shareholders are Vanguard, BlackRock. It's amazing.
My mind's blown away. I'm wow.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the gel caps. That's
Yeah,
just
but
something
that's-
I would have never even.
What an amazing
Never
way to
thought.
infiltrate an industry that's your enemy, is to become
Oh yeah.
the enemy themselves. And they enjoy, they love selling capsules.
Wow.
And they sell a lot cheaper than anyone else, but we won't buy from them. And that's just one example. There are tons of examples.
It's everywhere.
So you have to be very careful about your supplements. These Walmart, Dollar General, Target, stuff you buy at Publix, whatever. I
Right.
mean, this stuff's garbage. There's no reason to take it. You're taking products that are made by Clorox, by PepsiCo, and once again, they're owned by these huge
Yep.
megacorps that are basically owned by a handful of people.
And good companies won't sell to the
True.
mega corps.
Oh yeah,
that
Blue
are-
Bonnet. We called them.
won't.
We've been around for 30 years, and I was almost not offended, but a little tacky with the rep, because he was like, "Well, we'll have to come by and do so and so." And I said, "Oh, you need to come, check us out and approve whether or not we're good enough to sell your stuff." Okay, that's great. And he kind of laughed awkwardly. But the fact is, we've been around for 30 years, but they want to make sure that we're not, discounters. We're not people who are like selling it at
Right.
Out
flea
of
markets
warehouses or
yeah.
whatever.
So it's because they care about, just like Rolex watches. You can't go to the jewelry store in
Right.
Anniston anymore and buy a Rolex. Well, you might can a couple with used Rolexes, but you better be careful. But Rolex won't just sell their watches at a Walmart. You can't buy a Rolex at Walmart, not unless it's in the back parking lot for really cheap. But you can't buy a Rolex at Walmart because they care about their quality, and because their quality is so high that there's no one at a Walmart that could even tell you about a Rolex, an employee, you know what I mean? Actually, there are some, but you know what I mean? It's a quality control issue. And so the best supplement companies out there will not sell to discounters, to Dollar Generals, or whatever.
Walmart or
Yeah.
Target or anything like that.
Oh, well, where do we even go from there? That's enough right there just to take off and go home for the night. But no, I definitely don't want to do that. But that's just amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just, whew. Okay, let's jump to another question here really quick. Is microwave food unsafe? I have heard that microwaves do not make food radioactive. Is that true? Not true?
Okay, I've had this question before on the radio more than once, and it's funny because I was just wrestling with a microwave. Actually,
We
twice,
just got one today.
Twice today. Once she's heating up some
water.
a French press to make me a cup of coffee because I wanted some of my bulletproof coffee, and all of a sudden she starts screaming, and water is coming out of the microwave, out of the light underneath the microwave
What?
in our
Pouring
in our
out.
motorhome, and it's coming pouring out, and I'm like, well, that looks like $1,000 problem, and but it wasn't, thankfully. And so I was unscrewing the microwave, actually she went on the YouTube video or on the group and figured out how to do it while I was seeing a patient, and so I go back and the microwave's torn out, and then the microwave at St. John's went out. Yeah, I think it's been abused to death.
So
personally,
don't let you around any microwaves today. Okay, got
No,
it.
yeah. So then I went to Walmart and bought it. And what's so funny is I bought the Mainstays brand.
Yeah.
And that brand is so bad that they won't even offer a replacement. The
Oh, how
the
funny.
warranty.
The insurance
Yeah,
thing?
she's like, do you want to warranty your French press? Because I had to replace my French
Yeah.
press
French
too.
press.
My $10
Okay.
French press. You want to get an extended warranty for that? And I'm like, no, that's okay. And I said, I'll say what I always say. We're going to be raptured probably soon anyway.
right.
Jesus will come before that 2 years is up. But then after that, it's, and I said, well, what about the microwave? Because she just doop, and that's done. I'm like, well, what? She goes, oh, they're not offering one for it. And I'm like, yeah, because it's going to tear up before 2 years. Anyway, so no.
You're
They
not
don't.
going to walk around with glowing food in your stomach or
No,
anything?
no. Okay, the same people who are probably concerned about microwaves making their food radioactive are right now drinking plastic. So quit drinking plastic and then get back with me. It's the microwaves. It's a technology that's been used for decades upon decades upon decades. They've tested and tested and tested. Now, if you have a pacemaker, be careful. But as far as the food itself, I don't necessarily want my food microwave, but sometimes you just have to do it. We're heating up a French press. I mean, there's only one or two ways to do that.
Yeah.
Long story short, no, I don't believe that. Well, first off, it's proven that it does not make food radioactive. The only concern that I have, now I'll tell you one thing that bothers me. And have you ever seen people who the microwave's going and they just walk up to it and open it
Yeah.
while it's running? Why would anyone do that? It's like sitting there with like a nuclear warhead, tink, 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 with a hammer. I mean, why would you want to just expose yourself to anything you can expose yourself to?
Yeah.
You're in a hurry. You're in a bad hurry. You're in too much of a hurry if you can't wait 2 seconds.
Just stop it.
Ding, and then open it. Just give it just open that microwave after you get the ding, and that helps out a lot. But no, it won't make your food radioactive.
Okay, well that's great to know. And again, I'm more than radioactive. I'm still stuck on those gels, so gel caps. But anyway, well, we have run out of time for this week. But we want to thank you all for joining us here today with Matt and Deborah St. John for Truth, Health, and Wellness. We'll be back next week on Thursdays at 7 p.m. We want to thank you, and you guys have a great week out there.